and we're starting to really oh, my arm's about to break. Garden. Let's have a look. Yeah, I'm a selfie girl, I guess. I don't know what I'm saying ever. Oh gosh, have I had you zoomed in this whole time? I hope everything hasn't been blurry. I'm gonna cry if it has. Hi, I'm Coral. This is Coral Gardens. I'm standing in the shade because it's a really hot day. We're going to our garden club meeting today, and I thought I'd do a quick garden tour. I'm loving having the garden club, having people who are as nerdy as I am about gardening, and then the resources. There's a master gardener that runs it, and we also get really cool free stuff. It's through my son's tribe, and they have grants, so we got a hori. We're gonna have some shade cloth and some gift cards to a local farm that we could do a you pick 'em, or they also sell compost or fresh produce. So I really would like to have some great homegrown compost. We're making our own, but not on a level that we need to fill this whole garden. So anyway, come hang out with me on this end of July. I think it's the 26th today. See what we got going. And we're starting to really have things coming out of the garden. We're picking produce. That's super exciting. And we should be hosting our own garden tour here shortly. So that's pretty fun too. So let's have a look. Okay, so in our little front boxes, we have the zinnias are really starting to actually look pretty finally in all different colors. They were the only thing that came up. I planted several other flowers in here, but once we cut these back, they'll really branch out a lot more and be more exciting. But the hummingbirds have been visiting them every day, which is super fun. Back here we have our herb garden. Chives, basil, parsley going to seed. We have basil and cilantro and dill in there. See the dill here. Opal basil, regular Genovese basil, and cilantro. Oop. Cilantro leaves there. And then we have new parsley and Thai basil here. And I think I said the chives. This guy is clearly not going to come back, so I'm going to be moving that little extra moringa tree over to here, and we'll have 2 moringa trees. Here's a little baby Bubba okra and a bunch of carrots coming up around it. And that looks like a celery. I'm pretty sure that's a celery. That's interesting, but that's fun. I'll let him grow for sure. I don't know how the seed got there, but I'll take it. And then our onions, I'm going to be pulling these and replanting out this. I'm going to put another okra in that. The last little healthy looking guy here is an okra. We did not get the extra tomatillos planted out before they're too weak to go out, so that is what it is. The flowers are already busy this morning. Multiple bees per flower. So these are our Zuni waffle gardens, and we have 3 sisters going in them. So the waffle gardens allow us to keep the moisture where we want it. It helps the wind not dry out the soil as much. And it's been one of the only ways we found to really use this soil and grow productively. So we've started growing a lot more things in this fashion. It was last year just kind of an experiment, and we're going to continue to expand it, I think. So these beds are 3 sisters. And what happens with 3 sisters is you grow corn as the first sister, and as the corn gets going, you add squash and or melons, and then beans. So the squash and or melons ramble around, and the beans climb up. So you need to use, I think I just caught a mosquito in my hand. I did. Ew. Excuse me. So you need to wait for the corn to get about 6 inches to a foot tall before you plant the other things, because you don't want it to overtake the corn. And then you also want it, look at how pretty those are. Those colors in that little tassel. You also want it to be the proper types. So we have flint corn in these, mostly glass gem and painted mountain. And then you have to use pole bean that are going to climb up. And then you want to use a rambling squash and not a summer squash that is just one little guy in a clump. They vine a tiny bit. You can also do a cousin of sunflowers, and you can do a cousin of amaranth, which is what happening over there. So we'll show you more of that. But these guys are all starting to sprawl out. There's melons on most of the watermelon plants. That guy's looking big and beautiful. This is a little cantaloupe, I think. He's one of the only guys not doing great in these first few gardens. I have a spaghetti squash here that the way you know that these are done is if you can't readily pierce the skin with your fingernail, and this guy's very close, so we'll be having a spaghetti squash soon. This is a Moon and Stars watermelon. Those little spots are normal. They're not disease or anything. The watermelon will have the same pattern. I just heard a hummingbird go overhead. Oh, you're talking to me. Hi, buddy. Where are you? Hi, little friend. He was up in that tree. He's been coming so close to us to get those flowers, and it's really fun because we have our new patio furniture, so the chairs are right next to him, and he is unafraid. I'll put in one more video. I put one in the last video, but this one's actually closer up. Which is really fun. We have a big watermelon in here from this other watermelon plant growing up. This squash the other day he's been super healthy, but he looked so puny by the end of this hot days, and I was really worried he wouldn't come back, but he's doing okay. This is probably our biggest leafed, most rambling plant. Some of these early leaves were huge, but he has not shown any signs of a female flower yet, so I don't know what he is. I'm guessing maybe a pumpkin. So these guys are kind of growing together. The watermelon's trying to grab on. It's hard to know where to let them ramble. We've never had this many healthy rambling plants at once. But so there's this side of these ones. And this one here, there's another little squash. I don't know if this is gonna be a Casper pumpkin, potentially. It's one I haven't seen before. Casper pumpkins are just white pumpkins, as you could probably assume. These guys are starting to have ears, which is super fun. That's all dried up at the top. I think I feel kernels, and there's one down there. They're so exciting to open up. It feels like Easter and Christmas combined because you hunt them on the dried out stalks, and then when you open them, it's like these beautiful bright colors. I was so excited that we got so many last year. So here's these. Let's see. There's another watermelon in the front of this one. A lot of them have been abnormally shaped. I think that's just because they're so early and because I have to overhead water. I think sometimes I'm knocking some of the pollen off of the female flowers by watering. But as these grow bigger, the flowers will be further out and they'll be a little bit easier to not have to worry about watering directly. I love how these are all different colors. Let's see. This is the spot where we accidentally put a watermelon and a squash seed in the same side. We decided to let them grow and kind of fight it out and see what happens. And then I added a kind of sick butternut squash plug. Here's what I think might be another spaghetti squash. If he gets yellower, we'll know for sure. But he could also, again, maybe be a Casper pumpkin. I don't think he's one of my orange varieties because those usually start out green and turn orange as they ripen. beautiful amaranth. I love amaranth. We let it go to seed and we let the birds go after it last year, so you'll see it just has popped up everywhere. And we left it wherever we possibly could because it's so beautiful and fun, and I really want to actually try and harvest it for grains this year. So these we replaced what was not, not planted here by seed with 2 different butternut squash from different people that gave them to us late in the season. They both looked really puny. The darker green ones looks like it's doing a little better, but we'll see. We added gopher spikes that a friend lent me. We have had gopher issues very bad in the gated garden area, and I'm really hoping they don't come out here. If this doesn't work, we tried a few things. If this doesn't work, I think we're gonna have to think about trapping them. I don't want to do that. So anyway, here's our next set. Oh, did you see that little butterfly go by? And they have these tiny, tiny little blue-gray butterflies that are about. Some of these ones, as we go further back, these beds were the first ones we grew in, and so they're a little more, they had a better soil structure because we've been watering them and amending them, and we also had a little more compost for these guys, which is why they're a little healthier than these smaller guys. But last year we had small guys that produced great things, and I don't want huge cobs of flint corn. I want to make wreaths out of them, and I really like the small size. So again, here's another little ear happening. That one doesn't feel like it's filled out at all, so I don't know if anything it gotten. Let's see. This guy, oh yeah, he still has a little, the squash is now decaying. I should probably try and get that off actually. We have seen and killed 2 squash bugs this far. It's smart to take these off so the plant doesn't waste any energy and it doesn't rot into it. We've seen 2 squash bugs, and I have been checking for more and for eggs pretty regularly. It's hard to get super crazy with as many squash plants as we have. Those look like aphids. There's a couple aphids under there, but there isn't any squash bug eggs. A lot of these have little tiny white spiders that live under the leaves too, so I try and be careful of them. They're probably trying to help me. And we also have, as a volunteer that's come up all over our garden, is arugula. The bees love it, so I let it grow. And let's see, oh, here's the big pumpkin. One big pumpkin we already have growing. You see him down there? It's kind of hard to get a good picture of, but that's what most pumpkins look with that, start with that green and then turn to orange as they ripen. A little more amaranth there. These squash blossoms are always beautiful. So yeah, some of these don't have any squash, so I do not know what they are. I didn't label. I like to soak things, and I don't have the room or the patience to get a bunch of different bottles or cups and soak them and label them. So I just soak them and throw them in the ground, and I'll know what they are when they come up. So, well, that guy's looking kind of sickly. It may just be nutrients in this bed, but it could be some disease, and I'll keep an eye on it. Our last bed's here. We were also running low on corn seeds, so there's kind of a little bit more sunflowers and amaranth in these back ones than the other ones. I don't think these have any fruit on, except with the exception of one other, what I think is spaghetti squash. Those do really well here, and they seem to be first last year too. So it makes sense to me. That's why we plant it a lot, because we want to grow what happily grows in this crazy high desert environment. Amaranth leaves are actually edible too. I ate some the other day though, and it was very chlorophyll tasting, I guess you could say. You could probably add them to something, but straight up they're not going to be great. There's that other spaghetti squash I was telling you about, and again, close to being ready. So we'll have a few squash here soon. Beautiful sunflower and amaranth. And everything else is doing okay. I think that might be an okra right there. I don't know how he's gonna do, but there's some weeds in these that we really need to pull. I'm gonna get my son to come out here because it's really hard for me to bend over. And we'll go. We're cutting into the trees yesterday, so we have a lot of branches to clear up here. I keep hearing those gopher spikes, and they vibrate like occasionally. That's how they deter them in different patterns. And so I keep hearing them, and it keeps throwing me off. But here's our sweet potatoes. These are doing really good, especially this variety. These are both orange, but 2 different varieties. And they're starting to sprawl out and hopefully spill. Our trees, we started watering them. There's a little Spidey in there. We started watering them every day. And if we water twice a day on really hot days, watering them twice. And they are starting to come back. When we planted them in pots, I was really, really worried that we had killed them. I think eventually they're gonna have to go out, but we don't own this property. So it's hard to commit to wanting to put these beautiful fruit trees you got on property you don't own. This is a mystery tomato that we got from our gardening club. And I think that it's likely a cherry tomato just by how many blossoms are set, but I don't know for sure, so we'll see. Planted beans and edamame in here, and they did not come up, so now I'm just watering that soil, trying to make sure it's not so hydrophobic that the next thing I plant will be successful. But yeah, there's our peach tree coming back with new leaves, and our plum, which is supposed to have purpley leaves, but some of these are actually growing back too, so there's hope for, at least for now. Maybe we can keep them alive a year in here and then come back to think about where we might be staying and if we want to plant them here or not. There is so many hollyhock seedlings. I'm just gonna let them battle it out. Some sunflowers that are very ready to open soon and that are covered in ants. I spray the ants off every time I water, but they come right back. They're farming those aphids. I guess I'd rather have them on sunflowers than on my vegetables. This is a hollyhock we transplanted from the fence garden. And then we got multiple other sunflowers. This little amaranth was completely dead, and I transplanted him without enough. He was too big, I think, and there wasn't enough roots to him, but he is coming back like a boss. Amaranth is very, can't think of the word. It's a hardy plant. It wants to grow. This one I transplanted at the same time, and that one made a fast comeback. There's a little dead one right there that didn't make it. 2 out of 3 is surprising. You hear that buzz? Here's our summer squash in the gated garden. I don't see anything else taken by. Oh, I lied. Mother of pearl. So here's our gopher. God damn it. He's eating the roots off of that guy, and now he's gonna die. And that was a crookneck squash that was starting to set fruit. So I think it's time to get kill traps. I really didn't want to do it. I love animals, but from what I've read, there's no real way to deter gophers. And it's actually crueler to live trap them and take them somewhere else because they may suffer and die, not able to get the food they need. It's just really depressing. I really don't want to think about it or do it, but I can't have him take my entire, like he's got 8 out of 10 of these tomato plants, 3 Chileno peppers, and now this is the 2nd squash that he's taken. So we've replanted, we've tried to do all that we can to deter him. But I think I'm at a loss at this point. These guys were the last to come up, a few of these smaller ones. I think we gotta get those traps ordered as soon as possible. I flooded the holes, I put cat hair in them, I put my cat's cat litter box out here at an old one, with some remnants that hoping the smell would deter him, but he does not seem deterred. He seems like he found a perfect place for food and he's not gonna give it up. So, shoot. And I came in here and it's been a couple days too. I thought I was feeling hopeful that maybe he went on his merry way. I also tried to put food out for him and he didn't touch it. So he's definitely just not interested in any of and that's what I hear. That's how it goes. But anyway, I don't know what the majority of these are yet. I know I planted a lot of my favorites and the fastest growing and the ones that did best last year. The only one I do know for sure is this baked potato squash. These taste a lot like mashed or baked potatoes. And we had one of these last year at the base of a trellis. And as you could see, it doesn't have a really big vining habit. I think it's kind of a partial bush. So we planted it with the bush ones this year. Our last remaining cherry tomatoes have some tomatoes on. We're gonna have to, once we get rid of the gopher, buy some big plants and replace things. This little Chileno pepper almost died and made a big, huge comeback, so that's pretty fun. But Yeah, that's a depressing part of the garden. Let's go back to something prettier and happier. These are the rest of our tomatoes, primarily slicers. Oh my God, he has come out here now too. It looks like he's got the tomato that was here. Okay, I gotta kill him. Shoot, man. And he might have topped this one too, although they're just kind of laying over because they haven't been trellised yet. Oh, what a bummer. What a bummer. See, I said happier place. There's a sunflower. That's pretty happy. We got fruit setting on most of these. Some of the ones around the edges are also cherry tomatoes. So we may have some cherry tomatoes, but I had planned on having cherry tomatoes and squash by now for the farmer's market. We had a lot of issues. So the gopher just being the latest one. Let's see. We'll go this way. We have so many oh my gosh, he got part of a pepper too. Okay, he's done. He's done. So this was a shishito plant. He got the majority of the low branches that had stuff on them. I guess that there's one of those gopher deterrents right in this bed, so it clearly didn't deter him. Maybe it showed him where they were. Here are some, I think, Hungarian wax peppers. I think with these first ones and these first chilenos, I'm going to be just putting them into an existing jar of peppers I have and letting them get quick pickled in the refrigerator to eat them. There's a few here. There's a big guy here. I think today we're gonna have to find a way to up to somewhere that has traps and get them trapped right away. Oh, I hate it. Okay, sorry. As I see more and more destruction, I can't get past the sadness of it. We do have big eggplants here. One I grew from seed, one I was given. They have really beautiful flowers. This one's about to open, really pretty purple flowers. I think these are both just kind of traditional grocery store type. I take this amaranth. We're shading out guys here. So then we have some more peppers that I grew from seed. I think the jalapeno has babies starting to set. That one also might be a jalapeno. It looks really similar. So depressing to hear those things go off. I planted a few bush beans back here. That was a lot of bees. Bush beans back here. It looks like only the front part of them came up. The ones in the back area did not, but that's okay. Here's a little amaranth patch, and our tomatillo plants. Here's a little volunteer tomatillo and another little volunteer amaranth. In these beds, I did a modified Three Sisters. I planted cucumbers around the edge, and that was going to be the extent of it. Some of them came up and got eaten right away early on, and some of them did not come up at all. So I replaced those with starts that friends had given me that were kind of struggling. And then in the meantime, another one came up. So we have 3 cucumbers in these 2 corners. This guy's going to be growing up this trellis here pretty soon. And then we'll kind of just let them ramble around. And then I realized I needed more space. Look at all those bees. They love that arugula. They're everywhere. I don't know if you can see them, but there's more than usual today. I then decided that I needed space for bush beans. I needed to, because we're having such trouble with the gopher, plant as many fast-growing plants as I possibly could. And so I planted red rat-tail radishes that you grow for the pods, and those grow pretty quickly. And I planted bush beans and okra, like fast-growing, good, solid. So these bush beans not a lot came up in this bed. These are also yellower. I know they get less shade and they need probably a little bit of shade, but also I think maybe the soil's just a little richer. So almost a lot of the bush beans came up here, but a lot less in here. This one was full of purslane initially too, which I pulled out, but is already coming back. So we'll see. These are our sweet corn. This is a Bantam variety and wild violet, I think it's called. That's a sweet corn with occasional purple kernels, which is really pretty. Like like I said, I planted some red rat's tail radish that you can see coming up here, and some okra. And these four, I came to my attention, I've been saying Aqua 4, and I thought, like the stuff ointment you put on your tattoos after you get them, it's not Aqua 4, it's Aqua, wait, Aquaphor. Yeah, Aquaphor, I think. So my son was making fun of me for that. Darn it, kids. So I have okra growing up in the middle here. This soil's hard to keep moist, so they are growing kind of slowly. I have to be careful going by the bees, even though they are very mellow with me. Hi, babies. I'm gonna pull a couple of these so one of them can grow the biggest. I have to go right up into the bees to turn on my hose, and I've grown fearless of them, and they don't mind me at all. There's another big volunteer amaranth. This is where we had our onions, and the onions did okay. We got some like small grocery store sized, but we didn't pull the weeds around them. I thought that the purslane might be a good ground cover. I think it drowned them out, and so did the arugula. So next year we'll be pulling those volunteers there. This was originally, there's a container under there of arugula, and it has spread all the way out into the aquifer. And we just let it, like, it's early food for the bees, and they absolutely love it. So they are just going ham in there as they do every morning. It's really hard to water. Okay, and we'll go to the beginning of the trellises here. There is always ants on these beans, farming aphids, and I push them down every single time and they come right back up. Look at how twisted and pretty that guy is. So we'll start it back on this side. These are long beans here with the kind of longer leaves. Those tend to do really well in the heat, so I'm hoping that we'll get fruit from them. There's also rattlesnake pole beans in here, sunset runner beans, and Cherokee Trail of Tear beans. Those are these dark ones. And so far they're all doing okay. We put a little sheet over to give them a little bit of shade, but it's coming hard because some of the tallest ones, oh, see, this one's getting bent over by the sheet, and we want them to keep growing up the vine. So probably gonna remove the sheet soon, but I'm a little worried about these guys. At least we're not in the middle of 100-degree weather right now. We are probably safely in the 90s most days, but that's better than 105. And what it can get up to is the 110s in the summer occasionally. So I just spray where these ants and aphids are on the growing tips of these. They really love the long beans. I spray them every time that I come out and water, and it knocks them back, gets the aphids off, kind of keeps them under control without having to spray any pesticides or anything that might harm other insects and beneficial critters. So, and then down below, I have Malabar spinach that's starting to finally get a little growth despite the beans hanging above him. And I planted from seed some more Malabar spinach so that if these beans get taken out by the heat, we'll have something growing on this trellis, because red Malabar spinach is really drought tolerant. Look at these Cherokee Trail of Tears flowers. It's hard to see my viewfinder screen in this one when it's warmer, when it's sunnier out. So forgive me if some of these are a little bit fuzzy for a minute, blurry. So here's the other side, some more long beans. We had one of these produce 2 long beans and then hasn't had any success yet. Here's some sunset runner beans. Look how pretty those are. Mix all these little offshoots. Wow, and those leaves with the purple outsides are really pretty too on the Cherokee Trail of Tears. I can't wait till this whole thing's filled up. I've never had a hugely successful bean trellis, especially without long beans. I've mostly had long beans, which are gorgeous in their own right. Their flowers are probably the most beautiful bean flowers. And I'm rarely finding them open. There's one over there that will be pretty when it opens. And again, I got the red Malabar spinach growing underneath. I need to start checking these for beans. Oh, speaking of which, there's one little cutest bean ever, perfectly round. I took a short of it the other day. Where are you, bean? Where have you gone, bean? I've been watching so much British TV, like on accident. Oh, There's a little perfect circle guy. I've been watching Emma's Allotment Diaries, and then Taskmaster, and the British Love Island. So I'm like constantly hearing British voices. We harvested a huge Armenian yard-long cucumber the other day. He was delicious. They are really melons that look and eat like cucumbers. I have better luck with melons than I do cucumbers, so I make sure to grow those so I will always have at least some kind of cucumbers. But this year, several of the cucumbers are doing good too, and this is a Boston pickling cucumber. Today I'm gonna harvest him and put him in that same pickle jar. And then a random corn made its way over here, so I let him come up. There's a little arugula popping out. I don't think any of, does this one have any melons yet? This might be the Armenian yard long. You hear the bees buzzing like I can. Here's a little very cute, I think this could be a silver Yamato watermelon. Oh, he's smashed between there. Good thing I came to rescue you, buddy. He's dented. I don't know how he got back there. So we'll have to make sure we keep him outside of that area. I think he might have been smaller and fit there than grown out into it. So if I didn't catch it, then he might have gotten choked out. So again, this is a camping, I want to say treadmill, camping hammock. And we just threw it over for some temporary shade. We're going to be getting shade cloth from that garden club, which is actually today, which is really exciting. And I think we'll mostly have that over on this side of the garden. But it'll probably kind of benefit everybody else a little bit too, with a tiny bit of shade during different parts of the day. Here's one of our bigger watermelons so far, funny shaped fella. And we have a cantaloupe right here. Really looking cantaloupe-y. I don't like cantaloupe, but I'm really enjoying growing it. My son likes them, so that's good. And then here is another watermelon. I'm thinking this is a sugar baby now. Initially, I thought his color looked like silver Yamato too. We tried to plant the smaller watermelons along the trellis because it's hard to support them. I don't know if you saw my first season, we had a huge, like, large grocery store sized one, and we had to put multiple pairs of pantyhose to tie him up and hold him on. And then here we have little Kajari melons. Where's the other one? It's on the other side. I think there's a few more babies there. Kajari melons are very prolific. There's a tiny, tiny one. Here's another small one. And I think everything's getting pollinated too, which is pretty fun because there's so much bee activity. Here's one of our last planted squash and two volunteer. Oh gosh, have I had you zoomed in this whole time? I hope everything hasn't been blurry. I'm gonna cry if it has. But these are some of the squash planted last. Only 3 came up and I just decided to let it stay like that. Bees in there. Don't know what these are yet, but I'm excited for them to fill out the trellis more. These were planted maybe a week earlier and they're doing pretty good. This one looks like, I'm wondering if this is a butterscotch, because most of my butternuts come out lighter colored than that. But I have had different seeds from different companies and they all have slightly different traits. So it could just be a regular butternut. This one, as I suspected, looks like a spaghetti squash. It's growing very quickly. Do you see that squash bug right there? I'm going to kill him. I'll be right back. I'm very sad about finding him, but I'm happy that there's a lesson and that we know we need to look harder. I've never seen them lay their eggs on the stem, but here's a bunch of squash bugs' eggs that we're gonna kill. And I just usually if they're on a leaf, I'll just smash him with my finger, but because he's on the stem that's a little prickly, I'm probably gonna grab like a rock or something and scrape him off. I'll be right back. Okay, I just talked for a while and realized I wasn't filming. So this is our last trellis here. We have a Jack B. Little pumpkin here. I'm not sure what there. And I think this is either a loofah sponge or a loofah gourd or a decorative gourd. And I love these leaves. I love that they look like a fancy fake pumpkin you'd find at a store or something. And then lastly, we got a Chinese melon right here that's starting to finally climb up that we got from a start from our garden group. Planted a loofah there, but he did not come up. There's a little volunteer amaranth I might let grow. And then this last one is a volunteer butternut. A whole bunch of little butternut babies. And beautiful flowers. And so since he's a volunteer, we really wanted to let him grow because those make the strongest, best plants. And yeah, I apologize that this was a sad bummer garden tour on some levels, but we learned lessons, we saw things. Garden's still coming along. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I think there's something to be said for finding the shade. Right now I am under the ugliest shade cloth under one of my arches, but I'll take any shade in a storm. But anyway, thanks for hanging out with me today, guys. I'm hot. I'm gonna go inside and get some ice water. Hope you guys are keeping cool. Hope your gardens are doing great. Again, like and subscribe. I've been getting a lot of views on shorts, which is really fun and exciting, but not as many subscribers yet. So follow me along. I've done it for a couple years. I hope I'm getting better at the videos and at the gardening. And yeah, thanks for hanging out. I know it's wild that I'm wearing like a semi-long sleeve shirt out in this heat, but I don't want to get sunburnt more than I care about being hot.
Like and subscribe.